So last year, I watched Gigguk's video on Your Name and his perfect anime, and not only did it make me cry and want to fall into like a deep, dark pit of emotional feels, it made me think of what my perfect anime is. And it's a movie I love to revisit, to cry and squeal and fall in love again over and over again. I think everyone has their perfect anime or movie or game or whatever, and I wanted to put my feelings into words about this movie for a long time.
And it's true.
And that movie
Everywhere
is Wolf Children.
The man she fell in love with was also a wolf.
Wolf Children was written and directed by Mamoru Hosoda, who also made Summer Wars and The Girl Who Leapt Through Time. And it tells a story of a small family and the struggle of learning how to be a parent for the first time, but also accepting your children for who they are. It follows college student Hara, who starts becoming close with a man who comes to one of her classes, but he isn't actually a student. Their relationship turns to love, and soon she learns he is hiding the secret of being a werewolf. But this doesn't deter her anyway, and their love just grows into a family. The movie is Hosoda's masterpiece, in my opinion. It has such a heartwarming story with lovable characters and a gentle soundtrack to keep it flowing nicely. One of the things I love about this movie is that there are these long stretches where there's no dialogue or narration, and we just see the characters in their daily life. Everything is told with characters' actions and body language, and it conveys what's happening perfectly without anything being said at all. There's this one scene in particular that I really like where we see Hana get sick and go to the hospital. It then cuts to her revisiting the college, picking up all sorts of books. A close-up shot revealing that these books are actually on childcare. This all happens as we keep cutting to see the Wolfman rushing to meet her in front of the restaurant from before. He then runs up to her and hugs her tightly in one of my favorite romantic scenes of all time. This scene is so sweet, and it tells so much about Hana and how much emphasis she puts on books and learning in her daily life. How the Wolfman would drop everything just to see Hana, and how they love each other so much that this pregnancy can only come to a blessing to them. One thing I think this movie does really well is tell a story over time. So typically with movies that take place over several years, you're used to the whole 3 weeks later, or 2 months later, or 4 years later, or whatever. But Wolf Children has this really cool transition scene that moves the story forward with this really cool lateral tracking shot. I'm gonna link every frame of painting. We did a whole video about this one scene, but I just want to have my take on it real quick. So we start out looking at Ame in the first year classroom, looking uninterested and alone, and we only see the rest of the class at the very edge of the screen, making him feel alone and distant. We then pan to the left to the second year classroom to see Yuki at the front of the class, actively trying to answer the teacher's questions. We then pan back to the right, seeing Ame still distant and looking out the window. What I especially like about this scene is how Ame's classmates are seen through the window glass, making Ame's solitude more reinforced, like he's in his own world. We pan back to the left to the second year classroom, but this time Ame's standing in front, telling us time has passed. We see him being bullied, and then Yuki comes to his rescue. Ame gets back up and walks to the classroom, but neither of them say anything to each other, showing that they've already started to drift apart. Panning to the left again, to the third grade classroom, we see Ame still sitting in the back, alone and disinterested. We then pan to the left again once more, to see Yuki in the fourth grade classroom, speaking in front of the class. The camera does one final pan to the third grade classroom, Ame no longer there, as he has finally lost all interest in school completely. I love this transition. It packs everything we need to know about how Ame and Yuki's relationship has evolved, as well as how they've matured as they've gotten older, all just by panning the camera between 4 different classrooms. Being a parent for the first time is scary, especially if you're doing it by yourself. Hana doesn't have anyone she can ask for help. She can't tell anyone about what her kids are, and she has to figure out how to raise her kids in an environment where they can be free to choose their own path. It's scary being an adult for the first time, and I think that's why I like Hana as a character so much. She's scared, but she's constantly moving forward despite the setbacks and challenges she's facing. We all have to grow up sometime, and Hana does it all at once. There's this one scene I really like where Yuki and Hana are checking on the vegetables they've been growing and they've all died. And Yuki asks Mom if they're going to be able to eat again. And on Hana's face you can see the fear and discomfort of her child, scared of not being able to eat. And she just smiles and says she's going to work harder. And that's maybe one of my other favorite scenes about this movie. It's so beautiful. She tries so hard for her family, and I love it so much. I've been making this video over the course of a month, and I've been trying to figure out a good way to end it. And I thought maybe a quote or maybe something profound, but I'm just gonna say why I made this video instead. I made this as a Mother's Day gift, but also just for me too. I love this movie, and I love what it's meant to me, how I've grown, and how I appreciate it, and how I view it. I love this movie a lot, and I wanted to put that movie into this video and say why I love it. And that's all I have to say. And if I could say one more thing to you, or to whoever decided to just click on this and watch it, thank you. Give your mom a hug, or just watch this movie and feel good. And that's all.